Powered by Riverside FM.
What if a memory you share with millions is fundamentally wrong? The Mandela Effect, a perplexing and enigmatic phenomenon where collective recollections clash with verifiable facts. Are these just tricks of the mind or whispers from a parallel reality? Join us as we explore this bizarre glitch in our shared reality. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew. Tonight on Newsworthy, 2 words and 2 question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number 1, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre-approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number 2, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number 3, don't rush the process. Take your time and know that the process could take some time. Number 4, consider all the costs. Number 5, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
There is a reason Brett is not on the banner.
What does that pre-tell?
Well, because today, this whole week, he I don't know if you heard, but Brett now has a peg leg.
Peg leg?
Yeah, he's playing Pirates of the Caribbean down in on some beautiful cruise ship, and I am not only jealous, I'm a little salty about the whole thing.
I see what you did there.
There was not one suitcase that he had that I could fit inside. It was very sad to me.
I can see that.
Anywho, how are you doing, Jerry?
Not too bad, other than way too friggin' hot for it to be June.
104 today was the heat index. 104.
I read that in New York City yesterday, I think, or day before, they set like a 25-year record for the month of June, not just for the day, but it hit 99 degrees, the hottest it had been on June in 20, 25, 30 years, whatever it was.
New York City has done a lot of things that is weird this week.
What else? Their mayor.
Their mayoral election. Man, if they thought rent was high before, now
why? He's going to freeze it.
Oh yeah, he will.
That's what he says.
I know, but the problem is the reason rent is so high is because it has been artificially pushed down for so long. It's a whole thing.
How's him freezing it going to make it even higher?
Because at some point, those restrictions are going to come off. Some way, some form, some fashion.
But I mean, what happens at that point? Fair market, which is what it should have been, in my opinion, to begin with. But obviously, the market says it should be higher than crap. I mean, anytime you've got a city with limited, the problem in New York City is the price of real estate.
Right.
Period.
The ability, it's twofold. It's the price of real estate and the restrictions they put upon building and the codes that you have to have when you build in New York City.
It's not that much stronger in New York City than it is in California.
Well, no, they're the same.
But why is the rent so much higher in New York City than California?
It's not. They're very similar.
In New York City?
Yeah. There's a reason that California and New York City both are bleeding people to places like Texas and Florida's, and it's insane. There's a
have all
lot
those
that
problems
goes on
anytime you have the largest cities in a nation,
I'm sure.
whether it's United States or Japan or Russia or wherever.
I'm sure.
A lot of that just has to do with the fact that such a huge percentage of, not California, because California is a very heavily populated state. Look at New York State. What percentage of the people in the state live in that one city?
Most.
Huge. Yes. Huge.
Most.
And New York's a good sized state.
Yeah.
But
Crazy.
yeah, their mayoral candidate, that blew everyone away.
You know what I learned today?
What is that?
You know, after playing guitar for years, I thought I could learn to play the piano, but it's just not an easy instrument to pick up.
Oh, yeah. Well, get one of those little laptop keyboards. It's a lot easier to pick up. You talking about one of those, the one that your wife brought from Tennessee? I remember coming over to help you unload that bad boy. Yeah, that's not easy to pick up.
Whew, it was a heavy. And it's still in there. And just for full disclosure, I can strum a mandolin. That's the extent of my musical ability. I've not played the guitar for years, but I thought the joke was funny. So there you go.
I agree. I like the joke. I agree. But I give it a 5.
What's a joke?
Yeah. What would you give it?
That was wonderful. Delivery, probably an 8. The joke itself, a 9.
8.5. Good solid 8.5.
Yeah.
I don't know if I go that high. Here's a better one.
Uh-huh.
Why can't dinosaurs clap their hands?
Why, Jerry?
Because they're extinct.
Gosh.
Can't believe you asked why.
No, I didn't have to ask why. But what I don't do is I don't ruin the punchline of other people's jokes, Jerry.
Well, see, don't worry. I know you don't know how. I'll teach you.
Oh, please don't.
I'll teach you.
Man, let's go ahead and jump into the topic today. First of all, we got some interesting things happening coming up. We got some new equipment we've been testing out. Haven't quite got that figured out. So if you're an Encounters listener, sorry about that. It's a day late. Also, new Encounters logo. Thank you, Mochi. We appreciate it. Looks fantastic.
We need to
I'm excited.
Get a hold of her and order some of her bakery goods.
Oh, gosh. I wish.
You can make some awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Got a new thing that should be ready to announce next week, maybe?
Are you?
I'm looking at
Never
you.
mind. I'm not going to say that.
Am I what?
That was cool. A female?
No,
Because that's a hell of a tease.
Oh, man.
Don't tell your wife I said that. Until after I leave.
I'm sure she'll hear it when she listens to the podcast.
Hopefully I'll be gone.
No.
Safe till next week.
Yeah, no, not really.
Maybe she's forgotten where I live.
I'll show her. Just you're not getting out of that.
You're too old. I know you can't remember.
Whatever.
You're the big 5-0 dude. I was there at the party to prove it.
Bother. Big changes, big things happening. We're excited. There's going to be a really big announcement next week. I hope, right? Should
We
be
hope so.
close. Yeah. Don't forget, we have on, was it the first week of August? Just a little over a month away now. We're going to the largest Bigfoot festival east of the Mississippi at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Fest, just outside of Logan, Ohio.
Yep.
I'm excited for that. Woohoo. All right. But tonight, as Jerry said so eloquently in the teaser, have you ever thought you just knew something and half of the world's population or better agrees with you, only for the naysayers to say that we're wrong?
Not just the naysayers, but the facts.
The facts, and I'm using air quotes with this word that Jerry's liking to use, doesn't take into account that there are possible time slips. Doesn't take into account multiple dimensions. Doesn't take into account the fact that over half of the world's population believes some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And what it all started with was, do you know, Jerry?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, exactly.
Yes. That's why it's named the Mandela Effect.
Right. The Mandela Effect got its name from a curious case of collective misremembering, is what they call it. In 2009, paranormal researcher Fiona Broom realized that she and many others vividly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. They even recalled news coverage, a speech by his widow, and a public mourning. But Mandela actually didn't pass away until 2013 after serving long as South Africa's president. Struck by how widespread and detailed these false memories were, Broom launched a website where people could share a similar experience. That's when the phenomenon really took off. And people began comparing memories that didn't match the naysayers' reality. Like the Monopoly man having a monocle. That one I don't remember. I think that's confused with the Peanut Man. It's the only monocle I remember on anything, right?
Pretty much.
Or the Berenstein Bears be called Berenstein instead of Berenstein. That's another one.
A instead of an E.
Oh, what?
An A instead of an E.
Yeah. It's a fascinating psychological phenomenon where large groups of people have shared the same false memory. I don't think that, like, has this ever happened to you?
Sure,
do you fall into these? Okay. I was just wanting to say, is there what's one that you remember vividly that's not accurate?
And
we're going to get into a bunch of these. I didn't want to jump all over what you've got there, but
I don't think I'd ever thought about it until I got to reading about the Mandela Effect. But the cornucopia, the fruit of the loom,
yes,
cornucopia is one that once I heard about it, I was like, yeah, I think that did used to be there.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I was just going to get into some of the things.
Please do.
Huh?
Some of the examples?
Yeah. So, some of these I do know. Some of these I don't know because I hadn't, I just didn't. Curious George, the little monkey. Did you think he had a tail or didn't have a tail?
I couldn't say one way or the other. And I did read some of his books. I had some that I read to Nikki, my daughter.
Yep. I had the stuffed animal. The stuffed animal had a tail. That's all I know.
And that's part of we'll get into it later, but that's part of the problem. Sometimes the popular misconceptions become so mainstream that the people that makes the dolls or the people that makes the products begin to buy into it, which does what? Just reinforces our stereotype that it's wrong to begin with.
I think there's two really big ones, and we'll cover a whole list of things that is on here that we're going to get to. But the two biggest ones for me, and I'm trying to make sure I don't step on your toes here, Jerry. I apologize.
No, if you do, don't worry. It's not like I've never stepped on yours.
The two biggest ones here for me are the movie Shazam with Sinbad.
Yep.
Now, he swears he didn't do a movie. I swear I saw the movie.
But think about it.
What?
Where did it go?
I have no idea. Here we go into parallel time zones again. Because I remember the movie. I remember the little boy finding the lamp, and his sister caught him. Oh, that was on my computer. His sister, so she got sucked into it all too. I remember them getting into a bunch of trouble with their parents. I remember Shazam and Sinbad. Huh?
I'm guessing there's some movie you're.
A lot of people say it is the
it.
same as the one with Shaq. I don't remember the name of that, but it's not. Those two people are completely different. And I never watched that movie.
If there really was a movie, it didn't disappear. If there really was a movie, he's wanting his paycheck every month. He's not saying, no, I didn't make it.
I don't know. It was a pretty bad movie.
Trust me, he still would be taking the checks.
Huh?
He would still be signing the checks and cashing them.
Here's the biggest one, though. Are you ready for the biggest one for me personally? Sure. The biggest one is in Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader is reaching out to Luke, and
but that's so close. Go ahead.
Well, it's still half of the population remember it one way. Half of the population.
It's very close to what?
Where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," and he doesn't say that.
He didn't really say it.
He didn't say that. He, according to the facts, and I'm using air quotes.
According to the movie itself.
The actual line is, "No, I am your father."
But those are so close.
Sort of,
but here's the deal. So many advertisements, products later on, because so many people didn't misremember it, it began to be used incorrectly in advertisements and all those things, which just makes it
further reinforces all of the things.
The misbelief to begin with. Absolutely.
You know, and the cool thing about that particular part of the movie. So first of all, if you're a Star Wars fan, you may already know this, and I apologize. If you're not a Star Wars fan, this is really cool. So the actor who played Darth Vader was not the same person who voiced Darth Vader. No one on set knew those lines. No one, not even Luke. So when you hear,
they've been in the script.
Here's why: because they did not put it in the Lucas did not put it in the script because he wanted a raw, visceral reaction from Luke. And so the action you see from Luke, from Mark Hamill, is completely Mark Hamill. Because when that line was said and they were filming it, was the first time that anybody on set ever even heard it. So I thought that was a cool movie.
Was it just that one line or everything he was saying?
No, that was the line. That was like
I'm saying for Darth Vader. Was it just the one line that Luke didn't have access to and hit the script?
No, they would play it so that they could act it. Like when they were making the movie, it would be playing over, loudspeakers, or James Earl Jones would be over there saying it as he's supposed to say it. Another cool Star Wars fact, just to throw it out there. Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, who played Obi-Wan in all the newer movies, he actually was so excited to play. He would make the lightsaber noises with his mouth, and they had to make him stop because it was messing up their actual putting the sounds on. They're like, Ewan, we got the sounds covered. You got to stop.
That is interesting.
I just thought it was funny. Anyway, but yeah, I remember Luke, I am your father. That's a big one for me. What do you got?
See how that's the biggest.
Huh?
Because it's so close to what. I mean, that one's not hard. You just go back and rewatch the movie, right? They didn't make two movies just to screw with your head. They didn't. They really
I'm
didn't.
I'm not saying they made two movies. I'm saying that movies were made in two different timelines. Have you not watched the Marvel-verse at all?
No, very little. Not when they get into
the multiverse is pretty impressive. Just saying.
Apparently made it Blu-ray.
Also, Star Wars related. Most people believe that C-3PO was completely gold.
Yep.
Apparently, he had one silver leg.
Yep. One part of the leg. I don't think it's the whole leg, just part of it.
Yeah. Because he was made from scrap. So that I can believe that one, actually.
And again, if you have any doubt, go watch the movie.
So, what do you think, Jerry? What's your thoughts about the Mandela Effect? You seem like the naysayer type today, as per usual.
No, I seem, as per usual, to be going with the facts. If I have a doubt about what was said in the movie, I go watch the movie. That answers my questions about what the movie said. Just rewatch the movie. It's pretty simple.
You should go watch Shazam. It's a terrible movie, but it's
What I want to watch it.
to show that it was made, that it was there, that it was a thing.
But we know it's a thing.
Right.
Just not what's his name in it. That's the problem with it, right?
No. Sinbad was
But
there.
when you start looking into it, and you even said it, your research several times there mentioned about the false memory. And that's what it is. And we know first and foremost that human memory is very faulty.
How faulty is it?
Very.
No, I was going to say, because now even eyewitness accounts of some things in criminal trials is not accepted.
Oh, I didn't know it wasn't accepted, but we've known for a long time, and I've got some information on that if I can find it down here somewhere. Let me see if I can.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'm going to give you another one.
Please
What
do.
about the song, the classic song, We Are the Champions by Queen? Many recall Freddie Mercury singing Of the World at the end. The original recording ends, there's no time for losers because we are the champions.
The original recording, but he did actually have that line in one live recording up in London somewhere, maybe.
Perhaps you're suffering from the Mandela effect.
Nope. I read what you read. He actually did say that in one of his
Okay.
recordings.
Sorry, didn't mean to go ahead.
No, you didn't read that? He actually did say that once, but it's not the original, and it's not in most
Cuts.
live renditions. He
Yeah.
didn't say it.
What
So-
about Mirror, Mirror on the Wall in the great movie Snow White? Not the whatever thing they just released, the original Snow White.
Okay.
The actual line is magic mirror on the wall. I always thought it was mirror, mirror on the wall.
Because that's what mainstream society says, and it's reused so often that has become the norm.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that I ever saw the original Snow White. Probably, but I do not recall. But what I recall is just people sitting around saying the quote, and it's usually said the way you remember it: "Mirror, mirror on the wall," and that's been reused in a lot of movies since. And it's almost always "Mirror, mirror on the wall," which is part of the problem. When we, as we mentioned earlier, when we misremember something and it begins to be reused incorrectly, at some point, which one is correct? The original or the one that the majority of people are using?
Well, it depends on if they want to be correct or not. That's
Maybe.
my opinion. What?
Maybe. But if the majority are using it, does that not invalidate the original? Do they not become correct just by numbers? They have the majority at that point.
Maybe. Maybe.
So what else you got? What other examples?
Oh, what more examples? What about Pikachu? You a big Pokemon fan?
Not at all.
Oh.
Not at all.
Most people believe that Pokemon, especially Pikachu, which was the primary Pokemon out there,
Solid color or something?
yeah, he had a black spot on the end of his tail. And his tail has always been solid yellow. I wouldn't know that. Mochi would know that more than I would.
My son-in-law would know that.
What about Jif versus Jiffy? The peanut butter brand. Some remember it as Jiffy. Maybe they're blending it with Skippy,
Probably.
but it's actually made in Lexington, and that has been called Jif for a million years.
As far as I know,
Jif.
always.
Yeah. It's the best peanut butter on the planet, by the way. Just so you know.
I agree. But it's become crazy high price compared to the competition that's not that big of a difference.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know.
You still buy it no matter what the price difference is.
Yeah, some things, there's certain things I don't skimp on.
Me too. But that's not one of them for me.
Oh, see, I really like, because of the ingredients, it has far less ingredients than the Walmart, say for instance, a Great Value brand tastes very similar, but it is loaded with additional ingredients that I don't eat.
How about Skippy compared to Skippy?
I don't like Skippy.
I
It's
do.
too sweet.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like Reese's either because of the same thing. It's too sweet.
Never had Reese's peanut butter.
You can actually
I've
buy
had Reese's peanut butter in their candy, but
Yeah,
not
me
the-
too.
in the jar.
but I don't like it in the jar. I don't skimp on cereal, brand cereal. If I want a bag of, if I want cereal, I want the real thing. I want Honey Nut Cheerios or I want Fruit Loops. I do not want Fruit Zappers
I
or
will
whatever.
on some of those.
I
Some.
don't.
Some. I forget the name of it, but there is this one off-brand that makes some pretty close stuff.
Malto
to me.
Meal. It's pretty
Malto
good.
Meal.
Yeah.
Malto Meal.
It's pretty
I
decent.
can take
I
Malto
like
Meal.
their originals much better than I do their copycats.
Yeah. I don't eat a lot of cereal, and I rarely buy it, but I've had Malto Meal, and I thought
Tell you
they
something
were
else I
okay.
won't skimp on.
What's that?
Bread. If I'm going to buy bread, loaves of bread, I want butternut. I want
Name brand.
yeah. It has better quality ingredients. Not saying it's great ingredients for you, but if you just look at the ingredients list on a bag of butternut versus a bag of Great Value,
I like Nature's Own.
yeah, those are even better. Absolutely. But
Ketchup's a big one for me. Mayonnaise. I know you don't eat mayonnaise.
yeah,
Ketchup and mayonnaise are two things I do not.
you like Heinz
Yeah.
ketchup?
I'll even do Hunt's. I will not do the Kroger brand, Great
Yeah.
Value brands. I want Heinz for ketchup. I will deal with Hunt's.
Yeah,
Nothing
and
else.
Miracle Whip for me, Miracle Whip's the way to go.
No.
What do you
That is
eat?
freaking nasty.
What?
I don't do Miracle Whip. I do mayonnaise, and I don't do Kraft. I do Dukes or Hellman's only.
Oh,
Dukes or Hellman's.
wow.
I don't like Kraft is, I'm sure, the number one in America, and I don't care for it. Give me Dukes or Hellman's.
See, and I don't want people to think I'm dumping on Great Value because I'm really not. My
They make a lot of
cabinet
stuff that's
is
very good.
full of Great Value stuff.
But I think most of America would be exactly like we're saying. They might vary upon what the items are, but all of us have certain things, and we're like, nope.
Yeah.
I've tried it in the past, and give me the real. Or
Here's the one thing the one reason that I don't like doing the Instacart or the Click Cart thing. I want to pick my own vegetables.
Huge.
You know what I mean?
Huge.
I mean, if I was just getting a bag of canned goods, maybe I'd do that. But
I want to pick my vegetables. I want to pick
my
my
meat.
milk. I want to pick
Yes.
my bread and make sure it's the freshest date I can
Right.
get. Absolutely. And I've seen those guys.
Yeah,
They don't care
they
about
don't
that.
give a
They
hot
grab the
crap.
first one and take it.
Yep.
And if the person stocking is rotating, the first one you grab
Is the oldest.
Yes, the oldest by far.
And the bread guys typically are very good at rotating and very
They
good
gotta
at
be.
keeping it full. Absolutely.
Part of their paycheck is tied to how good they are at that.
Yep. So anyway, we
Sorry
kind of
for getting this way off track from Mandela.
well, no, I think it has a lot to do with the Mandela effect because how we remember things is the reason. Like my brain glitches. We were talking about it earlier. I get a bad something at I won't ever eat that brand again.
Going along with that, I found what I was looking for earlier.
Oh, good.
You was asking how accurate or inaccurate is our memory. According to the Innocence Project, 358 people who had been convicted and sentenced to death since 1989 have since been exonerated through DNA evidence. Of those, 71% had been convicted or at least partially through eyewitness testimony
Yeah.
and were later found to be innocent.
Yeah.
And they were sentenced to death.
Isn't that crazy?
There was a jury, a group of their peers who were sure enough not to just say, yeah, I think. They were sure enough to vote to kill a person.
Yeah.
358 of them, and 71% of those, that's 3/4, that's roughly 270 of those 360 people were innocent. That's how bad our memory is.
The Mandela effect has surprisingly deep and quirky impact on our pop culture. It's become both a mirror and a magnifying glass for how we collectively remember or misremember the world around us. It's reshaped how we engage with nostalgia. People love revisiting old cartoons, movies, and brands to see if their memories match reality. This has sparked viral debates over things to whether it was called Looney Tunes or Looney Tunes. What is it?
Totally off the subject.
Oh.
But My daughter just sent me a text message for those that are local to Lawrenceburg. They will care. No one else is going to give a crap. The owners of the fairgrounds drive-in just changed hands, and they're now
Yeah.
saying they're extending the hours. They'll now
Oh,
be
nice.
open to 7 p.m. Big news if you live in Lawrenceburg. No one else really gives a crap.
Well, it was a good restaurant for a lot of years. The family that just sold it, good folks. I know them personally, wonderful people.
Good.
So I'm glad for them in their retirement.
Absolutely.
And they wouldn't have handed it off to just anybody. So should
They
be good. But it's even inspired creative content, meaning the Mandela Effect has become a theme in podcasts, YouTube videos. We're doing it on our podcast today.
Absolutely.
Even TV shows that focus on that. It's often used as a storytelling device to explore alternate realities, memory glitches, or even time travel. Think of it as a modern myth-making a modern myth-making algorithm or tool to perfect for creators who love weaving folklore into mystery and narratives. I like it personally because it's the age of misinformation. The Mandela Effect has become a symbol of how easily the collective memory can be distorted. Some researchers argue that the social media algorithms amplify these effects by reinforcing false memories through repetition of emotional engagement.
That's a proven fact.
Yeah.
It shows you what you interact with. So whatever you like and spend time reading, it'll show you more of the same.
Yeah.
So what it does is reinforce whatever it is you believe in the first place.
Which is why you ask how I get in some of the rabbit holes I've been in. Well, it's a really good thing, and Clay Davis is going to be with us in a couple of weeks. We may even bring this up, is how powerful algorithms are in social media, because it is a good example is politics. If you believe a certain way and you tend to watch videos that also believe in that certain way, very soon with the algorithms in place, that's all you will see is that. And it will very rapidly become the worst of the worst of what that represents, regardless, right, left, whatever your case may be.
And I don't even
something to be careful about.
It is. A lot of people think that that's a fault of social media.
No,
it's working exactly the way they intend for it to. They don't want to piss you off, because when they piss you off, you go to something else.
You go from Facebook to X or X to Instagram or wherever.
So the algorithms we're talking about is absolutely no different than the algorithms on Netflix or anything else. They want to keep you happy. They want to show you enough to keep you coming back for more. The only way they can do that is to show you what you want, what you spend time interacting with.
There was a video I sent you that we're going to talk about in a future episode, all about how, what's the word I'm looking for?
The one from today?
Yeah. How creative stores are going to be to keep that information in-house.
Sure.
I guess that's the best way of putting it. Because there's a wealth of information with the things that, and I don't want to give too much away but there's a entire wealth of population or information that we're about to just start giving away and won't even know it.
Unless you sit at home and use Walmart Plus.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. I just told you. I want to get my own bread, my own milk.
Then you'll be giving away all the...
So tell us more about this stuff, Jerry.
The Mandela Effect. Well, you've laid the groundwork. You've told us what it is. Give us some great examples. Now let's look at the why. Why does this happen? Why do so many of us remember not only the wrong thing, but the same wrong thing? It wouldn't be a big deal, right, if all of us misremembered what Darth Vader said to Luke, if we were all coming up with something different. But when we all misremember it and think it's the same thing, but it's wrong, we know that because we rewatch the movie and go, oh, crap, I thought he said. But what is it? What's causing it? You mentioned some of the possibilities of glitch in our minds. What is it? Well, our memory betrays us in many ways. First of all, our memory is reconstructive, not reproductive. It's not a camera. It doesn't record exact footage. Memory is reconstructed each time we access it, leading to distortion. A good way to think of it maybe is like a Wikipedia page. You can edit it, so can millions of other people. How can millions of other people edit your memories? By telling you, by saying, remember when he said so and so? Remember? And if enough people tell you, it begins, that's what we remember. That's what we,
Interesting.
because you watch the movie once. If you have 5 people say, remember when he said so and so?
I've watched the movie a lot more than once.
How many times has someone said,
right,
Luke, I am your father?
It would be embarrassing to say how many times I've watched that movie.
Well, those of us that know you know how big a fan you are of Star Wars. It wouldn't be a surprise. I'm guessing like 14,987.
That's close.
Okay, yeah,
pretty close.
Have you ever heard of the Lost in the Mall experiment?
No.
Researchers suggest this fake childhood event to participants. In other words, they're doing an experiment with a person, and they've also talked to some of their family, their spouse, their brother, sister, mom, dad, and they say the person will be telling them some story from when they were a childhood. And the researcher will say, yeah, remember your brother was telling me about that one time when you were lost in the mall? And they'll give a few details. And the next thing you know, the majority of people will begin to remember this event that never occurred. Oh, yeah, I remember, and start adding other details. It's been proven with this research that the majority of people, when given the right information in a believable manner, will not only accept it, they will begin reconstructing the memory and adding to it. Not just sitting here listening to this person tell them about this thing that never happened. Oh, yeah. And I was wearing that green dress. And that tall guy with a red beard is the one that grabbed me.
Wow.
We add to this memory because this person that we believe is truthful, this person that's telling us he talked to our family member that we trust that wouldn't make up stories, we think it's believable. And when we hear it, we accept it. Not only do we accept it, we begin to create other memories to go with it.
That's insane. Now, I often mishear something and it sticks in my head. Great example is Bad Moon Rising, or Bad Moon on the Rise by Creedence Clearwater. CCR. For years I was married to Robin before, and I was singing the song on the radio, and she goes, "Wait, what did you just say?" And I said, "Well, there's a bathroom on the right." She's like,
"Oh my goodness."
She's like, "That's not what it says." I was like, "Yeah, it
Not
is."
Even close.
Huh?
Not even close.
It says if there's a bad moon on the rise. But for my entire life, I thought there's a bathroom on the right.
That's true with a ton of different song lyrics.
Yeah.
It really is.
There's one comedian, that's all he does.
Yeah.
I fit right into there. But yeah, it's crazy.
Our brains also rely on mental shortcuts to help us process information efficiently. We often fill in the gaps using what we think should be there. You mentioned the Monopoly guy with the monocle. Probably there's no image ever. We know for certain that the Monopoly guy never had a monocle. So many people swears that he did in their memory. Probably because stereotypes. Some rich banker often did have a monocle. So if we can't remember the exact details, okay, well, wait a minute. The Monopoly guy, he was just that rich banker. What do rich bankers look like? That's the way that our memory begins to fail us. You mentioned this a minute ago. Once we begin to believe something, we tend to look for information that confirms it. And that's where the algorithms on social media get very dangerous, because they will reconfirm it in a heartbeat multiple times. You mentioned about, didn't George have a tail? If we have enough friends that are mentioning Curious George and they talk about his tail, how many times do we need to hear that before we begin to automatically assume that George had a tail? Collective misremembering, social reinforcement. When others share the same mistaken belief, it feels more true. The internet absolutely amplifies this. whether it's Reddit threads, YouTube rabbit holes, TikTok theories. We often say, I remember it that way too. And suddenly it's not just my memory, it's a shared truth among a group of people. The brain regions that are involved in memory: the prefrontal cortex, organization and recall, amygdala, I have no idea how to pronounce that, is a part of the brain that controls the emotional tagging of memory, which enhances vividness, but certainly and provingly not accuracy. Memory is very malleable. Research shows that emotionally charged or nostalgic memories are more prone to distortion. If it's something that you remember, a fond memory you had with your mother when you were a child, and especially once your mother is deceased and no longer with us, we tend to remember those things very fondly. We will have a tendency to overemphasize the positive aspects, to begin to forget about the negative aspects. We want to remember those things fondly. We want to have positive memories of our mother, which again, in many cases, leads to distorted memory. The stronger the motion, the more confident we are in our memory. But paradoxically, the more likely it is to be wrong. Think about that. The stronger the emotion, the more confident we are in the memory itself. But at the same time, the bigger the chance is for it to be inaccurate. The bigger the chance is for us to have
Hence,
added
all the
to.
murders being inaccurate.
And you can imagine if you're the eyewitness to something, that's a very strong emotion
Yeah.
of what you just witnessed. Shared media, education, language patterns make certain errors far more common. One thing you talked about several times: parallel universes. These are some theoretical or fringe interpretations, possible reasons.
I like
Parallel
how the
universes.
fringe is always considered the fringe until it is facts. Just saying.
Give me an example.
What?
Give me an example.
Oh, lots of examples.
Name one.
I don't want to.
The best one you
because-
got.
What?
Give me the best example of what you're talking about. Of
About
where it was considered a fringe theory until it's proven to be true.
the dinosaurs were birds.
I don't know that that was considered a fringe theory, was it?
Well, for years you were taught that they were lizards.
Wait a minute. You said that dinosaurs were birds,
Uh-huh.
but some were.
Most were. In fact, all dinosaurs were more akin to birds than they were to reptiles. Bone structures, most are considered now that they think most dinosaurs actually had some degree of feather plumage, I guess is the word.
But they couldn't fly.
No,
Many.
T-Rexes couldn't fly, but
Yeah.
they were, neither can ostrich. It doesn't make them any less a bird.
T-Rex was not a bird, though.
His bone structure says otherwise.
Right. So most scientists say that T-Rex was a bird.
They are more related to birds than they are to reptiles. Anyway, you asked for my best one.
Okay.
There you go.
Parallel universes. Again, this is popularized by internet forums, speculative fiction with zero facts to back it up. Hypothesis: we shifted from one timeline to another where the details have changed. That is not fact. That's what a lot of people believe. Some believe that we're remembering details from a previous version of reality that no longer exists. Some believe that we live in a simulation, a glitch. Might explain memory discrepancies. Some people like the Mandela Effect to a corrupted file in a video game. Yes.
I looked it up just to be on the safe side, but according to Harvard, can't hardly go wrong with Harvard.
According to Trump, you can. Way wrong.
Yes, T-Rex and birds share common ancestry. Molecular analysis of a shred of 68 million year old Tyrannosaurus rex protein confirms that dinosaurs share common ancestry with chickens, ostriches, and to a lesser extent, alligators. Birds are actually a type of dinosaur from the same group as T-Rex. Both T-Rex and birds had hollow bones and air sacs and some members of the tyrannosaur family even had feathers. Some paleontologists believe that all tyrannosaurs, including T Rex, were covered in feathers at some point in their life.
So
How about
common
that?
ancestry.
Yep.
I would. Yeah. Nice to
Can
know.
you, 30-ton chicken with teeth that is as long as your arm.
Yep.
Crazy what the world has. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us,
No.
but I thought that Brett is off. I like that.
Couple things that come into play. We've already talked about this. Social media's role. The algorithms that reinforce content that you already believe or have engaged with. The Mandela Effect threads go viral because they validate confusion. And again, as we said several times, these algorithms that social media have, and it's not an aberration, it's the way that they design it, it's the way they want it to work. They're going to show you more of whatever it is that you're interested in and looking at. Pop culture, you mentioned this one as well. Movies, cartoons, media references, they often change subtle details or exaggerate stereotypes.
It's a great plot point for a
It is.
movie, for a TV show.
Misquotes and memes often become more widely known than original sources. And that's what I was saying earlier. At that point, when the misquote is far more common than the original, which is correct?
Yeah.
Is it the original simply because it's the original?
I just thought of another one.
What's that?
That the movie Tombstone, when Doc Holliday says, "I'll be your hucklebearer," most people assumed he said Huckleberry.
Yep.
And he didn't. Hucklebearer was a pallbearer.
Yep.
Modern day. So,
and that's never quoted correctly.
Never.
It's always, "I'll be your huckleberry."
It's on stickers and everything.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
That's not what he says at all. But anyway, yeah.
So you're coming around. It is just bad memory. Is that what you think? Is that what you're agreeing to?
No.
This case was.
So yeah, but I'm still firmly in the. There was a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo. I believe that. I remember that, and I absolutely saw the movie Shazam with Sinbad.
Just one question: What happened to the movie that you saw?
I was in. Apparently, I somehow got into the theater during a time slip, and actually was going to see a different movie and ended up watching Shazam.
So the movie's still there, just in that other universe.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm okay with that. That's a hill I'm willing to die on.
We talked about the Innocence Project, the 71% of the people that have been convicted to die that were later exonerated. And of those 71%, first of all, 358 people were convicted and were later exonerated. 71% of those.
That number is the reason I no longer believe in the death penalty.
Yeah, it's part. Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's
predominantly.
That's huge.
It is.
That's a person's life who not only didn't do what, were they a good guy or in the wrong place, wrong time? Matter. Maybe, but he obviously shouldn't be in prison, much less be dead.
Yep. I don't want to get too political here.
Yeah.
But that's my feelings on George Floyd. Not a good guy. I'm not trying to say he lived a good life, was a good person. He didn't deserve to die being choked out for no reason, and he wasn't. It was, what was it? He'd given a counterfeit $20 bill.
Something like
that he was accused of, and apparently did, from what I've heard. And some police officer showed up and decided to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's not right. Back to the Mandela Effect. When a false memory gains traction, it begins to weave itself into our shared stories. Think about pop culture. Take that infamous "Luke, I'm your father." That was never said in Star Wars. The real line is that you said, "No, I am your father." But that misquote is so popular that commercials, parodies, and even merchandise now use the incorrect quote. Eventually, it becomes the version that people believe. If you see it enough times in commercials and you see merchandise with it written on it, and you hear enough people use it, you're right. That becomes your reality. Yeah. And for many people, you're not going to convince them that it's wrong. These moments begin to evolve into cultural myths, shaping how stories are retold, even how creators approach remakes and sequels. Uh, it's memory that snowballs into storytelling. You talked about how this whole thing started, where the name come from, when millions thought that Nelson Mandela died in prison. The origin of the term itself. For years, online forums were buzzing about people that supposedly had proof. They had funeral footage, speeches, timelines. And even though these recollections were incorrect, the collective certainty made the myth even feel true. And that isn't just harmless confusion, it can warp perception, it can skew narratives, it can challenge efforts to set the record straight. When we remember wrong together, truth becomes negotiable. That's sad to say, but it often is. The ripple effect doesn't stop with pop culture or trivia. In 2013, many people vividly remember watching footage of United Flight 93 crashing on 9/11. That footage was never broadcast, ever. Studies showed that this false memory had real emotional weight. It affected public perception of the event and its aftermath. So, what does all of this say about us? Maybe that memory isn't just fragile, it's contagious. What we think we remember becomes a kind of cultural gravity. It ends up, in many cases, pulling others into the same orbit. And the more we lean on collective memory to define reality, the more we need to question about how that memory was formed in the first place. Because when enough people get it wrong, sometimes the wrong thing becomes right. So I'm firmly convinced that, guys, I try to be as logical a person as I possibly can.
No.
If I think that it was in a movie, and there's a doubt, I'll go rewatch the movie. They didn't make two movies, one to mess with my mind to watch originally, and another to prove me an idiot later on. Yeah, we know that the brain is works mysteriously. We know that it is not a photographic memory. We know that it remembers many things incorrectly. And just because us and several other people remember the same thing when we look back at a movie, when we go back and watch old advertisements for Fruit of the Loom, and we see that the old advertisements, we look at old pictures. We can go back most major magazines. You can go back and see every copy of Newsweek and Time and things like that for the last 100 years. So if Fruit of the Loom ever ran an ad that had the cornucopia in it, it's going to be in some of those pictures. If you can't find a single one anywhere ever, trust me, there wasn't a few million people that said, hey, let's go and scour the entire earth and get rid of every picture. It just didn't happen.
So what you're saying is
Our memory sucks.
the Mandela effect is like a funny, a funhouse mirror for memory.
It just says how fragile and often wrong our memory really is.
Interesting. So what we remember isn't always what actually happened, and sometimes everyone gets it wrong together.
Not everyone, but the majority of us, yes.
Whether it's a case of brains taking creative shortcuts, cultural osmosis, or the mind-bending ideal of parallel timelines, it reminds us that memory isn't a perfect archive. It's more like an evolving story that we continuously tell ourselves. Honestly, for someone like me and you who's into folklore and myth, it's kind of poetic. A modern myth woven to collective imagination, and if nothing else, it shows how powerful we are to shape our own realities, sometimes without even realizing it.
Yep.
Jerry, does this get a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you? Does it need more coverage?
I think it absolutely needs more coverage. There's too many people that remember things wrong. There's too many people like you that says you can't convince me that that's not the line Darth Vader said. There's too many people that says the Fruit of the Loom absolutely did have the cornucopia. It needs more coverage.
I would agree, because for once, me and my people are right. That's what I'm thinking anyway. What do you think?
I would agree for once.
What? You agree?
Yes, for once.
Wow. That's impressive.
That
That
it
was
is.
an interesting episode. But our journey isn't over yet. If you stay tuned, we have an exciting bonus story coming up after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthywithstevencherry@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. Jerry, I have a huge disappointment tonight.
Oh no,
I have finally found a cryptid that I don't believe exists.
say it ain't so.
Today we're going to talk about the slide rock bolter
Okay.
out in the Rocky Mountains. The slide rock bolter resembles a whale or a large worm-like animal, but the creature is far more vicious. It's a carnivorous predator that hides at the top of mountains, waiting for unsuspecting prey to pass below. So it can slide down the mountain with its large head and small eyes, huge mouth that opens like a whale and eats everything in its path. Now, how it does this is it takes its tail and it wraps it around the peak of the mountain and then releases it to slide down the mountain and suck up everything below it. Stories of the slide rock bolter indicate that the creature is an apex predator known to prey on lumberjacks, prospectors, and other wilderness explorers. As the legend goes, the creature's tail would clamp down on the rocks with the head of the creature facing downward. Then the creature would let go and slide down, now suddenly bolting out of its hiding place and rapidly sliding down the steep mountainside. Swallowing everything in its path, the slide rock bolter is said to have rock like skin, a perfect camouflage that would look just like that craggy rock on an outcropping above you. While there have been no eyewitness accounts of the creature in many years, the slide rock bolter was never killed or chased out of the Rockies, so it could very well still be there, hiding alongside a Rocky Mountain peak, waiting for the right moment to strike. Now, this thing is supposed to be the size of a whale on the side of a mountain. I'm not buying it. Not today. Today's episode brought to you by our great sponsors, Ed Locke at USA Mortgage and Smoking Gun Jerky of Lincoln, Nebraska. Use code CRYPTID10 for a great discount. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.